What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm out here in the shop tonight. I've got the Dozer moved in here that won't move on its own power. Took the tractor, got it drug in here. Good thing I got a pretty good sized tractor because this thing is not light. So I want to do a video, talk about the things that I found wrong with the Dozer after I got the mud and stuff washed off of it, other than obvious that it wouldn't move. So I figured I'd take a moment and show you guys around the Dozer a little better and tell you what I found wrong, additional issues that I've seen after I got some of the mud cleaned off and whatnot. So I had the thing fairly well spotless, but as you see, time I moved it around, the mud that was on the bottom side of the tracks fell off, and now it's back on the track frames under there and all that. But I wanted to get it in the shop so that I could get up under the bottom of it and get the belly pans dropped off, and I could work on it a little bit, you know, a couple hours a day or whatever when I have time, and so we can get this thing tore apart. As I say, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the motor out of it and see if that coupling's broken there, because I feel like that's the problem. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a very common problem to have, and from what he described, that's what it sounds like. That's what the guy that I bought it from thought that was wrong with it, and he just didn't have time. He didn't even really need the Dozer anymore. He didn't have time, didn't have the want to mess with it, to tackle a project like that. So anyway, I wound up buying it, and so that's the first thing we want to do is I got it in here, get the sweeps or limberizers, whatever you want to call those, off, and we can get the hood off, see about getting the radiator and all that stuff out. Got it in here so I can get up on the bottom, get the belly pans out. So some other things that I found wrong with it after I got the mud cleaned off that I didn't necessarily know about it was the frame right here is cracked. As you can see, it's been re-welded right there. Got across here on both sides is like that. So we'll probably do some patching on that on the inside, because if it's cracked on the outside, you know the crack goes all the way through, and you know they was not able to access it. So whenever we get the engine out, we'll gouge that out and probably plate the inside of it after we get it welded up. Excuse me. So that'll make a good repair on that, since we got to pull the motor out anyway. I'm going to go along and inspect everything up under there. I don't have the belly pans. They still have oil and grease and stuff in them. So whenever we get those off, we're going to clean those up. And we're going to paint things as we go back together with it. You know, I'll have the hood off and stuff. We're going to touch that stuff up. And the C-frame bushings here are bad, and it looks like they've been welding just whatever onto it. Looks like they got some stuff daubed up there. And you know, I couldn't tell that with the mud caked on everything. But anyway, we'll check that out. That'll be something we'll probably check out after we get it you know, where to move under its own power. But you can kind of see up here where the C-frame has got the grousers has got into the C-frame here and chewed that up. It's like that on both sides. So you know, they've been doing some serious pushing with it. Somebody's welded some D-rings on here, which was, I guess, a decent idea, or tied it down maybe. The other side didn't look like they did quite as well on the welding. We may lay a bead across that. The blade has had quite a bit of welding done on it, so it looks like they were pretty hard on this machine. Different spots it's welded. It's been cracked up through here, and on the other side you can see just weld all over there. But the front side of the blade here, well, we'll look at the back side here. You see where they had a root rake on it one time. I guess they cut it off and they whacked out this, and I don't know, that's all gonna have to be cut off. The front side of the blade here is pushed through right here. It's done got thin and looks like they may have been pushing up against something. I'm not sure. We're gonna fix that. We're probably gonna make this blade narrower. They make these cutting edges in different widths, and this one here is down to the bottom of the blade. I think we caught it in time that shouldn't really have to do anything to the bottom of the blade, but you see the distance between this bolt hole and the top of this is supposed to be the same down here. These center cutting edges are actually reversible. You can take them off and flip them over. We're not going to do that probably, because this blade here is 10 foot 4 inches, and even with an angle it overhangs the trailer, so it's over width, and that's a 10 foot 4 inch blade is more blade than you need on a D3 size Dozer. You know, even on a D5, that's a decent amount of blade. So I think what we're going to do is cut this blade off down through here, and they make these, like I said, these cutting edges in different lengths. I've got a chart printed out in there that we'll get a different cutting edge. The difference in the lengths are these right here in the center. This is an 8-bolt blade. They make a 7-bolt and a 6-bolt for the different widths. And so we'll look into that after we get it running and everything to see about repairing that. On the other side over here, it has a hydraulic cylinder that is leaking. This right here is your tilt cylinder, I guess you would call that. And it's leaking after I washed it. I figured it was because there was oil and stuff all over this, and after I got it cleaned, you can see right there it's leaking. And I don't know if this one's leaking or not. This rod feels dry on the top side, but the oil out of here is coming down and running down in here, and it's making dirt collect around there. So I need to get that washed out as well, because if this is not leaking, it probably will from having dirt caked around it and sliding back and forth, and you know, like that. It's probably not going to help anything. So that'll be something else that we'll have to look at, but as I say, that'll be after we get it running, most likely. You can see this side over here where the grouser's got into the C-frame again, and if you look at this D-ring here, that just does not look like the best weld in the world right there. And if you notice on the other side, it was a diamond shaped here. This was just a, I don't know, it must have been 2 different people welded that on, or they just used scraps that they had or whatever, I'm not sure. Let's see. It looks like that they did go and rebuild the pivot right there, because it's got fresh shims right there. There's no rust or anything. So it looks like they had that off and replaced the pivot mount. It's what it appears. Also, looking at the undercarriage on it after I got the mud off, and it looks like that they put a new set of chains, or rails as you call it, because these are ITR rails, as you can see right there. And they're not very old by looking at them, I would not think. Also, you can see right here where it has been extended out. Adler's been extended out to this point before, so you know it's already wore out one set of rails at least. And now they pushed it back. This is the most inner point, and you can see about how much right there it's moved forward from there. So there's still quite a bit of undercarriage life left, it looks like to me. As I say, it looks like that's been fairly recently replaced. Also, we got a new top roller, ITR top roller. The sprocket back here is a fairly good looking sprocket. It's not sharp, wore down, or anything. So it looks like that this stuff's all been replaced fairly recently, from what I see. I think these are the original grouser pads, just from measuring, and I want to say they're supposed to be close to 2 inches when they're new, and I think they're about 1.25 inches or a little lower. So this Dozer is supposed to have 3,000 hours on it. I don't know that to be a fact, but that's what's on the hour meter, and the hour meter does work. So it may be factual, and they were just hard on it, because it looks like they've had several operators. The guy I bought it from was in a logging business, and I don't know, he hadn't had it very long, so I don't know what the person that had it before him did. So one of those deals. But you see right here, there's the other side of the frame there. It's been welded up as well. As I say, we can tell more about that when we get the engine out of it. And something else I noticed on the other side, you see the engine bolt right here on this side. The other side, the engine bolt has came out and is actually laying in the belly pan down there on that right there. If you notice, whoever was working on this thing, and I don't know, you know, it's one of them deals, you get 2 or 3 people working on something, and if it's broke down in the woods, you kind of got to do what you got to do when something's broke down. But you see how a lot of the stuff, you know, bolts broke off, and they just put some wire on it or whatever, and the whole machine's kind of like that. But I mean, I guess if it works, you know, and I understand that. So, no big deal. A little rough around the edges, but we can tidy it up somewhat. But the undercarriage looks good, the best I can tell. They did some electrical stuff in there that doesn't look very well. They removed the little cover right here, supposed to go there. The whole bottom of this thing is just covered with grease and oil in there. You can see a wire right there. I don't know what they were doing, but you can see bare wires right there. It looks like they would have made this where you could remove it so you could tell more about it, but it looks like the darn thing's welded shut. It's got bolts in it right there. Guess those are bolts. They look plastic though. Yeah, those are just plastic plugs. I thought those were bolts. Nope, plastic plugs, and it's welded shut. I was like, why was it be welded and you have bolts in it too? But it's not. It's welded from the factory, and then those are just plastic plugs for some reason. That makes things a lot harder to get up in there and do anything with, as you see. So I don't know what they got going on with that wire right there. It's just bare and hanging out, and I don't know, man. Look, they ain't even touching together well. I don't know what they got going on. Figure out what they got going on there, because I'm not sure. It doesn't look like they knew, because that is not nowhere close to how you would fix something to work if you actually thought that was going to work. We can pull the bottom off here. You see all the water in there where I washed it. You pull all these pans off that we can get to, so we can get up under there, check things out. Oh, that looks okay so far. We'll go ahead and pull this off and just get in here so we can check things out, check all our hoses out and all our wires, because it's pretty obvious that somebody's been messing with it that didn't have no business messing with it, because you see the kind of stuff they did to the wires. This right here, the lights wouldn't even work. They had butt splicers right here, and I took it apart. They didn't have them crimped good, and it was coming out, the lights wouldn't even work. So I took that apart, put some new butt splices there, crimped them really good, taped it back up. I really don't like to use butt splices, but I did on that. But they've just got all kind of stuff like this right here. You're going through the joystick. I don't know what they were trying to figure out or do, but they used some butt splices, and then they got this piece of wire here, and like I don't know what they had going on. They put this switch right here, and this is supposed to be your neutral switch right there, and releases the park brake. And you put a new switch on it. I do not know if it's wired up correctly or not, but I did run a hot wire on the park brake solenoid right here, and this valve right here is for your park brake. If you had this like it is, if that coupling is broke and you needed to put this thing in tow mode, you close this valve off, and you can put a hand pump right here supposedly if you got the correct nipple, and release the brakes on it. But he pulled the shafts out of the final drives, so that's the way they did it. And I was messing with this trying to see if I was getting any flow. I am getting a little flow right here. I took this line loose and turned this on, and I bypassed, got me a hot wire going to that solenoid right there, because they got something going on. They've been messing with something, so it's got something electrical that probably wasn't an issue till they started messing with it, whoever. I'm not 100% sure on that. Or it could have a multitude of problems. But another thing is over there on the foot brake right there, they've got something that doesn't look right there, the way that is done. I don't know. It's got a switch up under there. It's your service brake switch. When you mash this is supposed to go down, and it's supposed to touch that switch, but the switch is way up under there. There's no way that can touch the switch, so I don't know if somebody's been messing with that right there as well. I'm not 100% sure. That's something else I'll have to look at. But what he was talking, that it was working fine and quit moving, so that wouldn't have, you know, if it was working, it didn't change itself. That's something that somebody else did. So some of the gauges don't work up there on the dash. Let me hop up here. They have ripped the footstep. It's supposed to be a step right here. They've ripped that off, so it's hard to get up there. You got to kind of go up to the front and walk up here off the C-frame or off the grousers there. Get up here, but it needs a seat. That's pretty obvious. That's no big deal. But they've got some of these gauges here don't work. The hour meter does work. I got the main disconnect off back there. I forgot about that. The hour meter does work. It's got about 3,000 hours on it, just shy of that. But the oil pressure gauge works. I don't think the temperature gauge works because I let the thing run for a couple hours and never really seen it come up unless it just has to be under load. The hydraulic gauge there did come up just a little bit, but not much. The fuel gauge, I don't think it works either because it stays way over down like that. So they've got some issues going on there for sure. But I took some of these hoses loose. I'd washed this thing up, and there's some hydraulic fluid down there now because I took some of these hoses loose trying to test to see if I had any pressure anywhere. But I feel like that coupling's probably broke is what the issue is on that situation, because I did get a little bit of flow, but it wasn't enough to feel like it was going to do anything. You see that switch right there with the roller ball on the end of it? See that lever right there? It's supposed to go all the way and touch that switch right here, and that's supposed to activate your stopping. You know, this valve bleeds off pressure as you push down, but it's supposed to go further down to hit that, and I don't know what they got going on there, but that's supposed to go a lot further down. So somebody's been jacking with something here, and I don't know exactly what, but that ain't right the way that is. I don't know if that switch, I don't think the switch is adjustable. Nope, it bottoms out. The pedal's adjustable right there. So I don't know, maybe somebody had just adjusted the pedal so that wouldn't go down that far and wouldn't hit for whatever reason. I don't know. Something else we'll have to look at. So it's going to be quite a time-consuming project. They also have the Accelerator here. It's not even hooked up. I don't know why it's not hooked up, but it's not even hooked up. So some more stuff that we'll have to look at. But it looks like you can get to all the bolts there on the bell housing right there. And I don't know, there's 1, 2, 5 or 6 up here and 6 or 7 on the bottom, I think. And then there's the engine mount bolt right there that I was talking about. I can actually see it right here. I don't know if you can see it right there or not. Right down to the left of the oil filter there. It's laying on the belly pan. So that'll have to be put back on there. And as you see here, somebody has left the lower fan shroud off. That's not a big issue, but it kind of tells me that somebody may have did this job before, or at the very least had the radiator out before for some reason. So yeah, that's what we're working with so far, and that's what we're going to go about it, I guess, is start taking her apart and putting it back together a little bit at a time. And I have no idea how long this project's going to take. I'm just going to work on it a little bit at a time and kind of put it back together, and hopefully when we get done, we'll have a dozer that'll work and operate. This is a pilot controlled joystick. It's not electronic, as you see here. From my understanding, the way this works is this valve right here that you see move right there. See how it pulls that up? That is supposed to allow pilot pressure to come to this joystick, and then whenever you move the joystick, it sends pilot pressure right here. It'll send pilot pressure to the pumps down there and activate them if the pumps are turning. And so that's another reason I think that the coupling is broke, because even if the parking brake was not releasing, whenever you pull this up, say if there's an electric problem with the parking brake, which I don't think that's the deal, because as I say, I've bypassed it already, verified the solenoid is working, bypassed it and opened this valve up here and all that, and there's just like no pressure on it. But even if that was messed up, if you pull this up and then say the parking brake didn't release, you would feel the machine trying to bog down and pull it and push against the brakes. At least that's my thoughts on it. So I think that's what we're going to go with, and I'm going to tinker with this thing a little bit tonight. I'm going to try to get these limb risers off here, sweeps, whatever you want to call them. I believe somebody built these, but they've already cracked right there. Who knows what happened, but we'll weld those up and sand the rust off, repaint them, all that good stuff. So we're gonna try to get that off here. I've got the tractor over here, right there, to get over here and pick this stuff up. That's why I wanted to get it in the shop. One thing is so I can get up under there and not lay in a pile of mud, because that's no fun. And then if you drop a bolt, it's on a clean floor, you can find it. Got to get some more lights set up over here to see a little better. I need to replace these lights in here really with LED. I just got some metal halides up there. I've got one bulb that's out right there. I have not changed on that middle light, but anyways, I guess we're going to get started on this project and go from there. And hopefully, as I say, when we get done, we'll have a dozer. I've got the blade sitting on jack stands so that I can roll a creeper up under the bottom of it and access it from both ends. And I can set up a light and have some light shining up on there, see what's going on. Hopefully it won't be too big an issue to get this thing out. I'm not sure, I don't know what's involved in getting this radiator out, but that looks like probably the hardest part. The hood looks like it just comes off. Limb risers come off. And then the motor has just got one bolt on the other side, and then the bell housing bolts around the pump right there, and then your lines and stuff. And it'll come right off, or it looks like it will anyway. Maybe easier said than done, but I guess we're gonna find out. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this video up, and I'm gonna get started tinkering with this thing.